First up, we have Tanja, who's going to be talking about her engineering life truths. Tanja is an engineering manager at Skybait Gaming, as she already mentioned. She is part cyborg.
Yeah, I am actually.
Yeah, I remember that tweet.
I forgot that.
She's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner and believes in tech's potential for good. And yeah, she's going to be talking about lessons learned in the life of engineering. So thank you very much, Tanja.
Alright, let's see if this works. Okay. So while this is setting up, yes, you can ask me about my part cyborg. I have an implanted chip in me. But this is not the focus of the talk, okay? So cool. So thank you for inviting me, LeedsJS. It is a pleasure to be here. Right, so this talk is more about the imaginary letter I would like to write. Hi there, just saw you there, it's been ages. I would like to write to my young newbie programmer self, and I'm talking about 20 years ago. This is the stuff I wish I could have told her when she was first starting out. Everything I learned in hindsight after, that would have smoothed out all the wrinkles, all the mistakes, all the failures that I went through. And it's the stuff that kind of led me to where I am now. I am really sorry if I am teaching you to suck eggs here, because if you know this, that's fine. But a lot of this was not obvious to me when I was first starting out, and quite a few of this wasn't obvious to me until maybe 3 years ago. So, just very quickly, yes, I'm Tanja. Hi, engineering manager at Skybait Gaming. Feel free to tweet me at GrappleShark. I am happy to answer questions and get constructive feedback. This is the first time I'm running this talk, so constructive feedback is very, very appreciated. Because tell me if I'm doing something wrong. Definitely tell me if I'm doing something wrong. Before I talk about the letter I would like to write to my younger self, let me introduce to you my younger self, where it all began. So I was 8 years old, and I happened to have a computing class in this year in school. And instead of learning how to type or touch type or play Lemmings or play Carmen Sandiego, anybody? God, I love Carmen Sandiego. One quarter, instead of learning how to type, my teacher did say, let's do some programming. Didn't bat eyelids. She thought, yeah, 8-year-old kids, they can do this. At the time, this was not very common. I'm going back into the very early 90s, late 80s. Not trying to give away my age. So what she said is like, you're going to create a game using the computer. I thought, well, that's quite weird. I just follow what the computer tells me to do. And she said, we're going to use QBasic. And when I started playing with it, my mind was quite blown, because I don't know if you guys ever experienced this when you first started programming. When you're a little girl, the feeling of controlling a computer and letting it follow what your instructions are, it felt quite powerful. Suddenly there were areas of my brain, the logic areas, just started shining brightly with happiness, because it all made sense. But that's as much of that was for many, many years, until I was around 11 years old. I was a very lazy 11-year-old kid, and I ended up leaving the choosing of my electives very, very late, and unfortunately all the art classes were full. I thought myself to be a great artist, and I'll be here painting pots with all my friends. Nope, left it too late. The only class that had a spot free for me was robotics. I can't tell you how gutted, disappointed I was walking into the class. There was only one other girl there, and she also was quite lazy, and they were all boys. And I was like, what am I doing here this entire semester? Why am I here? But then I had a very good teacher. His name is Mr. Rutherford. He realized that, okay, there's a huge class of people, and 2 girls who were looking terrified. Just took a box of Lego, stuck it on the floor, and kicked it over. And for some reason that sounded really cool, looked really cool, and I was in. And he said, right, we're going to build robots. And with that, I built Lego robots using C. It's not groundbreaking, but it was to me when I was young. And I think after many projects of building cool little robots that did things that, traveled across a room just because I presented a command, that's when I realized that this is where I wanted my life to go. So it came the dawn of the internet, just in time. I don't know if many of you remember that the internet actually looked like this. Not all the fancy stuff you see now. No, it was all about, the most important thing were how loud your background music was, how shiny your GIFs were, how glaringly painful it was to web designers. But that's where I spent most of my time. I was mainly building websites, using online forums that opened the world up to me for open source software at that time. When you're I don't know, I think I was 13, 14 at that age, there was only so much technology you could use, and it was all open source. And that's what the internet brought to me. I didn't have to pay for it. I just dove in. Okay, maybe some of them were illegal, I don't know, I can't remember. I was a kid. And I just used what was out there to build fan websites, really. It was great fun. I loved it. I thought, yes, I'm a real programmer now. But then when you turn 16 in Switzerland, it was time to get a job. Because in Switzerland, you don't really go to university. And universities closed their doors to me anyway. I was not appropriate for university. We're talking some time back, okay? Switzerland might have changed by then, but some time back. So in Switzerland, I was 16, I was desperate to get a job, and at 16 you look for an apprenticeship. I do know in the UK there's some apprenticeship schemes that are starting up. I'm very hopeful for them, because this is how I started. And what it is you send it. Well, I did. I sent 80 CVs in 1 week, and I got whole loads of rejection. It was a very difficult journey for me to get my break in professional technology. But then I finally did land a job in the Migros. This is Switzerland's giant retail supermarket. So it's as popular as a Tesco, but it feels like a Waitrose when you walk inside and have Waitrose prices. That's kind of Switzerland, really. But I am very grateful for all the doors it opened for me. So this is where I first started my professional career at 16. I was a Kathau Informatik apprentice, so Lehre, and my background was Oracle databases, Oracle software, with lots of open source mixed in. So I got a lot of expensive technology and very free technology, so I was quite happy with that. And that is 2 decades ago, and this is where I am now. I love my job, I can't say it anymore, but I work with a whole variety of tech stack. I still am very interested in the technology that we use. I'm not hands-on coding anymore. I haven't been for 5 years. Probably correct. I have some very amazing engineers who can do that for me, and I'm not going to tell them how to do their jobs unless I know that there's something wrong. So my focus now is building high-performing squads, lots of leadership and management and strategy. But really the main focus for me is leveling up our engineering and our engineers at Skybetting Gaming. So, let's start. Looking back, what would I like to say to 16-year-old me? Now, I actually can't find a proper photo of 16-year-old me, so this will have to do. Still, I think it's accurate, because at 16-year-old, I thought I looked like and was like this. Actually, I was more like this. So, dear 16-year-old me, you never needed that degree. I don't have a degree. I have a Swiss apprenticeship. That is the only formal education that I have. I did spend many years wishing I had a degree. Even when I worked into, I was finished my apprenticeship, yay, done, actually real professional now, no more learning. That I was feeling quite held back that I didn't have the papers. But I couldn't go to university because at that point I was surviving, living paycheck to paycheck, trying to carve my life and career in engineering. I didn't have the ability to be financed or anything, so for me it was a very long shot. I'm not dissing anyone who has degrees, by the way. I'm just not. You guys who do have degrees and come out of uni, you come out with a great network of people, and that is something that you have to build yourself when you're not there. But this is just to reassure 16-year-old me, back then, You never needed that degree, and yes, you might have cried about it, but it's fine. Because I have other skills. I have brought transferable skills from experiences that I have gained over the years of working professionally. And if you're wondering, no, don't look for people with degrees now when I hire. I question people who specify they need degrees when they hire, because you're kind of disregarding a whole community of people who, have other backgrounds. I think, if you talk to Andy, we've got an engineer whose background was he was an economist, and he's brilliant. Like, if you were looking for computer science degree, you would have totally disregarded him. So, not having a degree hasn't stopped me from getting to where I want to be. Let's get over this. You will bring down production. That's okay. Just accept it. You will bring it down. It's a rite of passage. And when you do it, you will learn so much. You will learn to be more careful, what to watch out for. You will break production more than once. The one thing I will ask you is, please try to break it differently than how you broke it previously, because then at least you learn something new. And it is okay to cry and move on. But this is normal. I sat in KubeCon Barcelona last year, and there was a talk from Spotify, and one of their best engineers took down 2/3 of their production because they used the wrong terminal. People like that do it, everyone's gonna do it, so it's fine. Yeah, you think your job is this. You won't get to code as much as you want, really, because there is more to your job than sitting at a terminal writing code. You have to talk to people. You have to spend time thinking. I know, it's fine. I had that reaction too. Oh, people. By the way, all this is practice, okay? I could not have done this at 20. Yeah, people. God, why do I have to care about their opinions? I just want to write code, beautiful systems. But yes, please be prepared. This is not reality. Quite a bit of your time is discussion and thinking time is valued. You'll be writing tickets, you'll be doing sprint planning, you'll do stand-ups, you'll do your ceremonies, writing run books and documentation. Sorry, I'm not a fan of documentation, but I do believe in the power of a run book, especially if you're on call. We'll get to that. This is the truth. And you will learn to love the other aspects of your job. Right, technology comes and go. I've seen lots of things come in 20 years, but there is always the similarity of fundamental technical concepts. And if you're worried that you cannot keep up all the time, that's okay, we're all worried. But go into a new language or a new technology knowing that actually concepts are similar. There is no new problem in IT anymore. I believe this, feel free to challenge me, that's fine, come talk to me. There is no new problem in IT anymore, just different ways of solving it. So recognize the problem, understand what tech fundamental concept can be used to solve it, and then solve it with what tech is out there in the ecosystem. I used to worry so much about this. I used to get hung up about what language I should use. It's okay. They will come and go. Don't be precious. Right. This still stands for me. Don't skimp on learning testing principles. I mean, is there any testers or software engineers in test here? No? Yes, okay, so you are my people. I did not really value testing principles when I first started. I could have avoided so much pain if I actually cared a bit more than I did. I was lazy at testing. Please don't be lazy. Understand and care about those principles. And just FYI, testing in live has its place too. So if anyone says you don't ever test in live, you do a little bit, but try not to. Sometimes there's no other way. But do the due diligence where possible, and I'm not saying you need 100% test coverage. If you have 80%, that's even brilliant, good. My boss, our head of engineering, his actual expertise is as testing, and he always likes to say, as little as possible, but as much as necessary. And as you hone your testing skills, you truly understand the engineering quality of what you build. So, and also in all my squads, this is the real world now. All engineers test. It's not just a test. It's all engineers test. If you don't know how to test, you shouldn't be building. Right? Maybe a bit contentious. You think you can estimate accurately, but you can't. You really can't. This, maybe the arrogance of me when I was younger, the narcissism of me, led me to agree to things that I really should not have agreed to, thinking I could develop something in a week, 2 weeks. Rubbish. Once you've accepted that you can't estimate accurately, the more you can fix it. Never give your estimates as gospel, and never commit to deadlines based on your estimates. It's risky to be confident in what you think you can achieve in time when it comes to technology. A lot of work in technology, the best, most challenging work, is exploratory. You shouldn't be solving problems you've solved before. You should be solving new problems, or else you're not really learning. So if you want to try to estimate, you need to have a guide, and usually the guide is this. What did you estimate for your previous project? And then how far off were you, actually? And then kind of use that as a guide. Beware of people asking for estimates and allowing them to take that as truth. And also be comfortable in challenging deadlines. There are some deadlines that are movable, but you won't know that unless you challenge them and ask, what are the drivers? A lot of deadlines I've received are actually quite negotiable, and all you need is a confidence to say, but why? And state, I can't get here, but could we negotiate? You can negotiate deadlines. Now, if anything has ever gotten me into so much trouble consistently, it's this. It is this. I'm not going to tattoo it on myself, but it's tattooed in my brain. Stop assuming. Stop assuming. Everything goes wrong if you base your builds on assumptions. Don't assume to know what your user needs, what the customer wants. Don't assume to know what the business process is like. How do you know? You are not the expert at the business. You are building what they need, but you need their guidance. Don't assume on the details. You cannot read minds. Don't be too proud to ask. Ask the questions. Even if it's the most stupid, obvious question you think, ask the question. It will stop you from getting so much pain. So I mistakenly thought I knew what my user needed, how a business worked. I don't know, I just didn't think, of course they did it this way. Of course finance did it. As if I was a tax expert. Of course they did taxes like this. What did I know? I just assumed, and I can tell you, I've seen those projects go down in the burst of flames over the smallest details, so if I had asked, I would have just avoided so much pain. Right. I'm hoping I'm going to get to explain this correctly. Get your work to live environments as soon as possible. I don't know who needs to hear this, but I know I did when I was younger. Sorry if this is so obvious, but I thought it was worth spending a slide on this, and I am going to attempt to explain it in a way that makes sense. The world has changed since I was younger and I was delivering software, where you moved your work to production only when ready. But that usually leaves problems to occur too late. If you get your work to move through all your environments sooner, you get to fail fast. But what does that mean? What does fail fast mean? Okay? So you think the problem you're going to encounter is going to be here in production. You think that. Actually, you'll see a problem just getting your work from your dev environment to your QA or test environment. And then you'll see another fire moving over there. And then another fire over there. And I tell you what, those fires come from different reasons. It might not be even your build. It might be a terrible test data in there. It might be bad configuration in there. If you leave it too late, your code and build might be beautiful on your machine, but if you can't get it through your pipeline, you're going to be stuck for ages because you've not talked to some infosec security person, got your firewalls ready, whatever it is. Don't know, if you want to talk to me about this, I don't know if I'm explaining correctly, come find me later. But this was not obvious to me for many, many years, and I still find it's not obvious to some of my engineers. They're like, oh yeah, it'll be fine. We just need to flip the switch and they go across. No, it doesn't. Even if your feature does not need to be seen by your customers here, just get it through and hide it. You can hide it. There are ways to hide it gracefully. If you want to know more, come find me. But please get it through here. This is so painful when you're so close to a target. Right, I'll get off my soapbox there. Does anyone consider ops when they're building their software? This is new, maybe like 8 years old. No, anyone? Who here thinks about the logging that they're building, the monitoring, your runbooks as you're building your software? Oh, okay. Please build with ops in mind. Think about others. Think about them. Think about the people who have to take care of your system when it's live, especially if it's not you. When I was younger, I was quite self-centered and I didn't really think. I build it, ship it, it's fine. But like life, as you have more people in your life, you have to think about others. Start thinking about your ops people. You know? So, quite like this comic. Yeah, from a burning house, you got your fancy machine learning, your fancy blockchain. You know what actually matters? Your event logging. What caused that house to burn? That is more valuable because that helps you diagnose the problems in your systems. So, and you're monitoring your runbooks, I tell you now, you realize how important they are when they are not there. When people are called out at 4 a.m. in the morning, they are grateful for everything you provide to them that helps them diagnose a problem in a few minutes instead of a few panic-stricken hours. I can tell you that. I think you'll know what's going to come next. Go on call. At some point in your career, please consider going on call. Put your hand up as soon as possible. These people are the organization's heroes. They work in the trenches. They understand the importance of the system when you have a backlog of customers screaming at them. On-call is important. When you are on call, you learn what you have built better. When you're responsible for taking care of it, you know, the learning is incredible when you're on call. It is accelerated. Seeing your work live under pressure, that is the true test of your engineering. It gives you a sense of ownership. And because that you were in the trenches with other people supporting this during challenging hours, those people, they learn to trust you and bond with you. They will know your name. They will talk to you in an organization because you were there with them at 2 a.m. when the system is down, the banners are up, and everyone's screaming. You're just calmly trying to get through it. Your engineering comes back stronger when you're on call. And you know, you bring back that live experience, you know what you can improve. So this is really, really valuable. Please consider going on call. Your technical achievements today will be found in the scrap heap of tomorrow. You know all those legacy systems that you keep like bashing on about? That's what your systems are going to end up to be. Those legacy systems were built appropriately for that point in time, and that's what your systems are being built now. For now, right at this point in time. Let it go. Welcome to technology. Most things go out of date. Not just technology, not just, you know, the software you use, your own work will go out of date. And if you are precious about your work, about your technical growth, it will shackle you. And you will stop growing, and it will limit your career. You know, there are some unscrupulous companies who will avoid giving you opportunities to progress if they think you're shackled so closely to your system, it's too much of a risk to let you go, level up, do something new, you know, become better, become a senior, move away from that domain. They won't give it to you. Don't give them excuse to do that. They shouldn't do that anyway, but, you know, I'm just saying. If you're so precious on the systems you build, it's your baby, you're not sharing it out, you're not willing to replace it, it will limit your career. Allow your works to be replaced, please, and move on to the next challenge. Let it go, and then you can level up to something better. Ask for help. Okay, this is the most obvious thing. I know we all value intellectual expertise and how great we are. Brilliant. Ask for help. time box your struggle with a problem. So feel free to say an afternoon, a day, but if you're still banging your head on the wall, give an opportunity to somebody to help you. Saves time, you learn something, they learn something. And it could be like, code reviews, pair programming, one-to-one help me sessions. But sometimes it is hard to ask for help. The fear of letting people know that you don't know, that you're stuck, it makes you vulnerable, but actually it makes you more approachable and allows people to feel vulnerable with you. People who help learn as well. And when you can, please help people as soon as you can. Pay it forward. So you learn as well, like I said, and realize how much you've learned over the years by teaching people. And if you're able to teach people, then you really understand the subject. If you can explain it in such a way that others can absorb it, then you do understand what you're talking about. Bring others with you in your learning and level up together. It's very, very rewarding. And people you help remember who you are and what you did for them. So, everyone wins. It's okay to nerd out. I'm just going to say this, it is okay to nerd out. When I was growing up, I hid my nerdiness, I hid the fact that I liked the technical stuff, and I was worried what people thought. Just like you should not shame non-technical people, don't stand for non-technical people shaming you for being technical. I'm just going to say that right now. I have seen it so many in certain events where, oh, he's so technical. It's like, oh, why is she so technical? It's like, can you just stop being so technical? Don't know, but is that just me? I've seen excuses of people sat there like, I'm not technical, trying to excuse their technical bits. I'm not really technical, I'm just trying to show. No. You are technical, you understand it, own it, show your passion. It's not, people think it's not cool to be technical. Like, what's cool mean these days? Because who's watching? Who is watching? If I was in a panel, and the audience were full of young girls, and I kept going, sorry, this is too technical, what am I telling them? Why am I telling them? That, actually that's normal? That there are no technical women? No, own it. So for me, especially the young girls, like, anyone here? I am technical. So my technical might be a bit old, but I am technical. Because that's true, at some point someone will look to you as a role model. And what do you want them to see? So be proud of your passion. Alright, soapbox thing over. Okay, back to my 16-year-old self. You will be grateful for that rejection. Probably multiple of those rejections. So I've been rejected from a job not too long ago, and I was absolutely devastated. Everything seemed perfect. It seemed like I was walking to my perfect job, and I didn't get it. And I was gutted, and it gave me all feelings of self-doubt, insecurity. Did I actually know what I wanted? Did I actually know what I knew? But now, and I know this is hindsight, I am grateful, because that job would have probably taken me further from where I wanted to be. There will be at least one rejection that hits you hard like this. In a time that you'd realize, in hindsight, you'll realize it is a blessing. It brought you to a better path, and looking back, hopefully you do feel grateful, So it's okay. Rejection's normal. There will be that one rejection hits you hard. You will be grateful for it. Okay. Time does matter. It really does. Who here wanted to be senior within a year? Who here wanted the next promotion in 6 months to a year? All the time. Oh, it's just me. Am I just freaking competitive or something? I don't know. So when I was younger, in my 20s, I planned my career with accuracy, absolute accuracy, seeing a promotion every 6 months to 2 years. Did that happen? No. And thank goodness, because mastery does require time, and how can you teach others if you haven't been exposed to an amount of challenges that gives you valuable lessons? So, if you take time, first you have data, and over time data becomes information, and then information becomes knowledge, and then knowledge becomes wisdom. And I tell you, the people who have wisdom they kind of know where the skeletons are in which closets, So time for mastery, they float about like 10,000 hours. There's a concept of the rock star and the superstar. And one of them is the fact that you want to go get promoted and go really high, really fast. So you're going to go that. Great. If you're happy and that's what you want, brilliant. All I'm just saying to those superstars is, when you hit the top, you only have a couple of companies to be with until you're probably not needed anymore. So think of the duration of your career, kind of time it through. I prefer to be what they call a rock star, but not in the rock star type of sense of techies. Rock star as in, got my job, I'm building a solid foundation. Next step, solid foundation. Next step, solid foundation. I am bringing the mastery of those roles into my next adventure. And that is valuable, I absolutely think it. And also try to stay near the tech coal phase for as long as possible. Sometimes your next step does a bit more project management. I don't know, it depends on some companies. So you have hybrid roles. You will regret zooming away from the coal phase too quickly, because it's those times in the trenches that you really understand engineering. So, like Gandalf, the struggles in life's journeys, the falls, they teach you a valuable lesson, and you cannot have falls without time. Build allies. For many years I worked quite alone, quite solitary. I missed a lot of opportunities to meet people, just because people. But build allies. Take the opportunity even now of speaking to people to level up with them. Bring others with you. Around you are the people who may be running the tech scene in future years. As they advance in their careers, hopefully they'll take you with them. Or you'll take them with them, They'll help open doors for you. And be the person that people want to work with. Let them know your name, what you stand for. You may be great at what you do. You might be a technical genius, but if no one knows your name, how far is that going to get you really? So yes, unfortunately, we have to get to know people. And the thing is, when you are the person people want to work with, they'll think of you when opportunities arise. People remember who they work with during their years in the trenches, not the technologies that they build. So be nice as well. The Leeds tech scene is small. The people you work with, you might end up working for them. I often say that I might end up working for some of my engineers, and I'm fine with that. I have some brilliant engineers. One of them's probably going to start a great company, and I'm like, hi, hire me. Brilliant. Remember how I treated you? So, the Leeds tech scene is small. The world is getting smaller. Plus, just being nice, being the person people want to work with, it's the right thing to do. But if that's not enough an incentive, the people you see on the way up are the people you're going to see on the way down. It's true. Choose your boss. At 16, when I was desperate for a job, I did not have this opportunity. Not that I had anything wrong with the Migros. I was like, just give me a job. Anyone give me a job to get into technology. So, yeah, I get it. If you're in that situation, you might not have that privilege. But I do hope you have this opportunity and take it when you can, because values are important if you choose to stay in a company. And when you do choose to stay, choose where you stay every day. Make it a conscious decision that you are staying there. What team you want to work for, what company, align with people in a mission that works for you. This matters more than you realize, because as you go through life, you have fundamental values that make you you. And if you compromise it, it will hurt you. You won't be able to sleep at night. So maybe not now if you're struggling to build a foundation, but I really hope someday soon you had the opportunity to choose your boss. Yeah. Always embrace being a beginner. Your ability to learn is one of the most important abilities you have. You have to feed it and practice it, challenge yourself with something new every year, scare yourself, because it allows you to be comfortable being uncomfortable. As you advance your tech career, you have to learn again a new programming language, a framework that you've never seen before. fundamental concept I say, but you will have to relearn things all the time. So practice this skill. It's okay to go from high level, what was it when I was World of Warcraft? I was 80. Wow, this old times. Okay, I don't know. Was it 200 now? I don't know. Level 80 was back to a level 1 wizard because you have to relearn something new. So you will find yourself at the beginner phase again and again in your career. If you are comfortable being uncomfortable, that's a good practice of resilience. And the one thing I definitely want you to leave with from my talk is how important resilience is. This is more important than your technical ability and how smoothly you can charm people. If there's one thing you develop, it is this. It's the ability to pick yourself up through rough times and keep going. I mean, what is it? Churches say, if you're going through hell, keep going. This will be needed in your professional career, but more importantly, in your life. Life is hard. You think your job will be have the hardest moments in your life? It won't. It really won't. Life knows how to mess you up harder than anything else, and it's not what comes from your job that's scary. So build your resilience. It will help you in your job, but it will help you in your life even more. And the way to build a store of resilience is what I tell people is to keep challenging yourself. Keep putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, I'm not saying you have to throw yourself off a cliff, but one person I know, he learns a new skill every year. He says, I need to remember what it's like to be a beginner so I can build a resilience of realizing I'm not an expert. So this guy used to snowboard in the Olympics. So he, I think was it 2 years ago, he learned how to salsa and joined like a amateur competition just for fun with his girlfriend. But I can tell you, if you knew this guy, it would be very, very awkward for him to learn any kind of dance. And then I think the next thing he learned was scuba diving. And as a person who didn't know how to swim, he went and did it. But it helped build his store of resilience. Okay. Let's talk about money. I don't think people talk about money enough, really. And as a hiring manager, I know this sounds weird, I'm advocating that you talk about your salary and negotiate. For many years, I was underpaid. And I always was too scared to bring up the subject of money. I didn't know how to negotiate. I didn't know if I should have deserved better. I just assumed I was being treated fairly. So know your worth and ask for it. If you want to know your worth, go research. What are other people finding out? People are trying to be more transparent now about salaries. I'm hoping that people are open to talk about what it is. So be aware, though, that money is a short-term motivator. If you are one of the people who keeps asking for a future salary uplift, you won't be satisfied for long, and at some point you'll get too expensive for your company. No matter how good you are when it comes to efficiencies. So please try and look at it be fairly. But bring up the subject, be willing to talk about it, be prepared to get the response that they might give you, but at least understand where you stand with that employer. And if you think you're worth more, then negotiate or look. So I don't know if it's common, but I do regularly talk about salary with my engineers. It's mainly to get them comfortable to tell me, it's okay, I had the tools to talk about this with you. Let's talk about it. Because the last thing I want is my engineer to resign because he got a better job over there when I could have probably met that salary. How costly is that for me? So, and also, I know it might be hard sometimes bringing up the salary with your boss, but your boss might be grateful that you broached that subject first. It's such a taboo subject. So if you're brave enough to broach it, they might be like, yes, okay, finally, let's talk about it. I didn't know how to bring it up. Can't promise anything, but please get comfortable talking about it. You don't need to, because money does matter. Let's just say, it's not everything, but it does matter. It enables the rest of your life. And let's talk about the rest of your life. Have something else important in your life besides your job. Make sure your identity and your self-image isn't so entangled in your work. So I've had bad days in the office when I was younger where the world was ending and I had no self-worth just because of a couple of bad days. This isn't right. It is not right. Your job does not define you. My self-image had to be attached to something else. So this does help keep you resilient. This is your foundation. This is why you do your job. I love my job. I'm happy. I don't go to work, I go to play. but it also enables all of this. I love that I have a higher reason as well for doing what I do. You know, I have very social, I have a family, pick a hobby, pick a sport. I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. By the way, here's another quick tip. You might not realize this, but the ability to, you don't realize how strong and fit you have to be to sit on your desk 8 hours a day. If you act on that now, the people, you in your 30s or later will thank you, because, so my physiotherapy said that. So it is hard work sitting on a desk. So if you can pick a sport, pick a sport. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is great. I can totally advocate it. Come talk to me later. So your self-image just can't just be your job. It will make you very, very, very vulnerable. And I love the fact that I'm Tanja, the engineering manager, but I'm also Tanja, purple belt BJJ fighter, Tanja, the wife, Tanja, the nerdy friend, Tanja, the daughter, Tanja, the snowboarder. If my work goes to pot, these things are still protected. I am still this, and I can rebuild my work again. Okay, we're almost there, people. Take all advice with a pinch of salt. Even this. Everyone's preaching. Me too. This is my letter to my younger self, and I'm hoping that you can take something from it. But please take it with a pinch of salt, because I am still journeying through my career in my life. I'm hoping that I have still many, many decades left of working in engineering. And I might change my mind on some of these things. And you know what? That's okay. We should be allowed to change our minds. So think about it. Try what I've taught, I've shared out. And like a good engineer, decide if you want to implement that life lesson for you. Because in all truth, as much as I want to tell my younger self about this, is that at the end, I wouldn't change a thing. Because I've learned from my failures. I own them. These are my mistakes, my failures, my stumbling blocks, my bad days. And that is my journey. It made me me. But it made me able, and it brought me to this journey of working with some amazing people. A mistake took me here. Another mistake took me here. I love it. And you know what? In 20 years, I remember only a few of my technical achievements, but I remember the very cool people I got to work with, and that is what people remember of you, who you were, what you did back then when you were building engineering cool stuff. So make it a positive memory. Right, hopefully I'm not overrun. If you want to ask me any questions, provide constructive feedback, feel free to contact me on these channels. Also, again, I'm hiring. I already said this, but contact me there too. Or Andy. Andy and I share the software engineers thing. So, cool. Thank you very much, everybody.